Peter Jackson, I think, might have been the fifth. But basically, my brother is now friends with and works regularly with someone he idolised growing up. The fifth Doctor, Peter something. I think that's Peter Jackson.
I've never watched a single episode of it. Like.
No, it's.
I mind Dave used to watch it. Like, he said it was pretty good.
It's just lost it. It's now like back in the day. It was a really cool show. It was like Britain's Star Wars trying to be, but sort of where there was very little competition. You know, it's one of them things where you make sure you're home at 7:30 on Saturday to watch it.
Yeah.
Whereas these days it's just lost in the masses of fucking content that there is.
Yeah.
But, I've also seen Philip Schofield commenting on my brother's posts and stuff.
The guy who tried to hide being gay all his whole life.
I'd like to ask my brother about that. Did you know he was like? Of course we did. The reality is, his friends, with the people that work with him, we've known for a long time.
Aye.
It's just sad that he feels like he needed to, but I suppose he didn't know himself straight away, did he? And he's quite old now, in that it wasn't quite as out and open.
Kids as well.
Yeah,
with kids.
A lot of them do that. Like,
I actually think his life's still his best pal. He's still hang out and stuff. Cordial.
fair enough.
At least
You might as well, I think, to be honest, at that point. It's probably yeah. Fuck it, kind of attitude. You've got kids to. What's it? What TV show is it that Jim Carrey did that? Is it I Love You, Philip Morris?
Show, film, yeah. Yeah,
Where it was gay.
film,
Yeah, it was. It was really good.
Story as well.
Is it?
Yeah. Good story. The guy committed fraud constantly.
Do you know what? Of the most manipulative, fraudulent people I've ever met, quite a few.
He's actually still alive, the guy. I'm pretty sure Ewan met him as well. Ewan, Big Gigger met him. I read about it quite recently, actually. Apparently he was still lying for like a few seasons and that, like, about his life.
They get very, not they, as obviously it's not a fucking genetic thing, but I think it's the drugs have a contributing factor where they get a bit twisted and bitter. There's a guy around here, he's in his late 50s, early 60s now, but apparently he basically lived here for 10 years, fucked so much up, fucked so many people over, and then he left for 5 years and came back as a completely different, like, name, everything, like, just trying to, like, just mince back into the community and be like, hi, man. He changed his name, changed his identity, changed the whole way he looks, walks, talks, like, and it's just like, Simon, you know, my name's Ellis.
If you hang around with loads of bitchy people, you'll become it yourself. It's product of the environment, I imagine, as
same
well.
with everything.
You hang out with arseholes. I'm just saying arseholes, I'm saying hang out with.
But honestly, obviously, the mental health
quality.
thing really, the mental health thing really, like, accentuates it, and that's when it seems rational. There's another guy, Angela. I didn't like him when I first summoned up about him when I first met him. He's one of my customers. But he's one of them people. The way I've always seen it is he's horrible. Like he's most selfish. Sort of beats up his boyfriend, kind of horrible. You know, he's got a big guy, 6'2", quite hench, really camp. But he moans about his mental health and his anxiety and that, but it's just like, well, you're worried people don't like you because you're an asshole and you know it. I always saw right through it. It's just like, you're worried what people think about you because you're nasty. And he, like, the only friend, he got to the point where the only friend he had left was this guy Tony, and they just, for no known reason, one day just wrote like a fucking monologue on Facebook about all Tony's dirty laundry, saying he's been nicking off of this company for years, been stealing the Pride charity money, blah blah blah, because his mum's blah blah blah, and just like absolutely bare, you know, he slapped his boyfriend around, like, blah, 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 and then finished it off with, but I still love you though, Tony, and expected it to be okay.
Had your droid not intervened,
And I know his ex-boyfriend, Danny, He's like, no, he's like that. There was, you know, a couple of times when me and him were having an argument. We finish it, we make up. You know, I literally went for a piss, and then it's all over Facebook. You know, my this. He told me, this Angelo dude, the first time I met him. Well, sorry, when I met him, first few times I bumped into him. Every time he told me about someone that I hadn't met yet, he'd be like, oh yeah, but he does this, or you know, and I just, he's a this or that, and then I met them all. They're all really nice. Before I had any inkling, I was straight away like, it's Angelo's the problem.
Oh, shit.
He was telling me about this. Danny used to have a really bad drug problem, like chemsex kind of thing. And just, oh yeah, Danny's nice, but he injects Cidic Bang. Watch out for him. Why would you go around telling people that? If that's something he probably has done, if you're telling me, and if he was as bad as he says he was, but don't air it. Like, yeah, you're just really on a mission to be horrible. This is really bad. Well, it's really nasty of him actually, not a horrible story necessarily, but Dave, young, good-looking gay guy that I know, got a boyfriend now, but very into his chemsex and stuff, like when he was single. And I won't go into details of what some of them did to him when he was passed out. Yeah, but he said after one particular party, his ex-boyfriend knew all these people, and they were all like, there was a coordinated string of messages from all these different people saying that they've got videos of what he did last week with all these blokes, you know, while he was passed out. If you don't kill yourself, we're going to share it with your family, your mum. Like, they were all just like bombarding him with like commit suicide sort of messages for no real reason. Just like spite.
Getting out of here alive.
As I said to them at the time, I was just like, imagine how much of a bad place they're in if that's their Saturday. Anyway, yeah, I was just on with Pete and Beck and Macca a minute ago while I was
Playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Craig, mate, we only stopped with Craig for a while, actually. No, spoke to him for a while. Catching up there.
Oh, did he come back on this
Talking about films and it. I showed him that, fuck's the guy's name? Carman, the Christian rapper who's still pushing himself. Who's in the house? JC. Jesus Christ in the house tonight. Love that song. I would love to see it if he was at a church and they're like, anyone got a song? He's like, yeah, I've got a song. It's a total fucking banger. Yeah, man, it's AC. Holy shit, that'd be brilliant.
I was listening to something earlier that was probably as cheesy as the JC rap.
Is that?
Well, you know how I like watching motivational videos and inspirational and general business stuff as well. Some of them are business orientated or business specific. Some of them are life advice. Some of them are just motivation and it's just pure like fucking seize the day kind of epic tune in the background kind of shit. It's cheesy as fuck. But you know what? If it works, it works.
Lose yourself, clean the background. It's always lose yourself.
It's the same essence, the same heart. Yeah, no, it's cheesy as fuck, but it's just one of them. It's like
if it works, man.
If it works, it works, and if you need it, you need it. It's just, and what I've decided that Spotify on my phone is a worthy investment for my riding because for £10 a month, I'll ride a lot more than I would have done the music, which is easier to ride. So I've been listening to. There's a motivation, you know, playlist and stuff like that, and some of them are just raps, or actual rap songs. They're just by someone who's not that good at rapping, but it's just an epic tune and the content. It's like things just along the lines of, "You want to win at all costs. You must forget about all the past loss." Nice, it's cheesy as shit.
Yeah, harmless.
I'm not so into them ones really, but like they come on, I'm not going to switch the channel. I'm already driving.
I watch Rocky videos and that on YouTube and they're like that, and they're total edited and they're all total like about how Ace is and how he's overcome all this and that. Brilliant.
So much of it works though. This is the thing. When I first had my first stint of where I just seemed to wake up to a lot of things and got really in shape and motivated. You know, like my health. This is I'm gonna unfortunately I'm gonna quote Andrew Tate now.
No, don't even, honestly. I'm so sick of that fucking name. Like.
No, but there's a sense to this. It's not a quote from him, but it's the only one I've heard say it.
I love to fucking rape people. Is that the quote?
No. I just wanted to come clean. I didn't have to tell you that fact, but I just wanted to come clean. This is where I heard it. You know how there's a downward spiral where people start drinking and then it gets worse and worse. There's an upward spiral. That's literally as far as it goes. But it's true. You know, if you start exercising, your life just starts getting better out of the palm.
Spiral, wouldn't he use the word spiral? Like went upwards.
No, yeah.
Staircase.
He thinks he's being really profound. He thinks he's being really profound, but it's actually just the amount of times I've seen him say something and then just correct himself.
Right, here's one for you. Did you know the woman who co-founded Stagecoach was caught human trafficking as well today? It's like, she's actually from Scotland. It was in the news. And I looked at the comments on Facebook, and nobody used the joke, isn't that what she gets paid for? Because, like, human trafficking people on, like, the coaches, and nobody used the joke. I was the first person to fucking use it. I was like, that was a total sitter. So, but yeah, she was done with human trafficking. Well, apparently, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, just at the height of when I was in a good upward spiral, because that's what happens. Yeah, I was listening to quite a lot. So it did actually work for me, that sort of stuff. But, it was also, because some of my followers before have said to me in Q&As and that, like, have you ever fallen for a conspiracy yourself? And I'm like, honestly, no. That was before I understood what they were and what YouTube rabbit hole's all about. Off the back of trying to improve your life sort of content, and then getting healthy sort of content, and then nutrition sort of content, that's very, very soon you start bumping into anti-GMO, which then leads to anti-vax. So I'm just glad I'm really glad for the YouTube education I've had, to be honest. So those things, honestly, they do actually, that's what's sad, I'm the only person that I know that thinks like this, but what I find sad about the Andrew Tate situation, there's so many better people for these people to look up to, but they've been drawn to him.
Fuck.
Well, Gary Vee, I've mentioned him before, but you know, he's not a toxic.
I've seen him a few times, right? Stage show, I've actually got a photo of him, an autograph.
Henry Rollins? You mean Tim?
Yeah. No, Henry Rollins, singer for Black Flag. He does stand-up and stuff.
Oh, because there's a
guy
motivational
called Tim Robbins. Yeah, you've seen Henry, you know he's a fucking giant. But, he was the one that started putting to my head that everybody's a person, everybody's got a fucking backstory, and you shouldn't be addicted to anybody because you don't know what's going through their head or what's going on in their life. He was talking about how he was in a subway and there was a guy covered in tattoos, like shaved head, and that looked scary as fuck. And he was really angry, and Henry was freaking out. And then the guy apologised to him and said his daughter was going through adopted daughter was going through abuse thing at court.
Not feeling so great, PD.
It's like, you just need to care what the fuck's going through folks' heads, yeah. Like, even I hear folk like speaking to staff in shops really badly, I would want to fucking hit them. Like, you fucking dating that thing that you just don't know.
Yeah,
a good bit of motivation that way. Like.
Yeah. Gary Vee's a preacher of kindness, you know, and he very much believes that if somebody's best use of their time is to leave a negative comment or be negative, that's an indictment on their life. That you should feel sorry for them.
Oh,
it's like, you're never going to please everyone. There are some people that just want to make you feel bad because that makes them feel better temporarily. They're just trolls. Trolls have got like not all, but a lot of them, there's something wrong with them themselves. Well, not strictly, but I would say most of them. You know, I've noticed it about myself. Whenever I've got bitter about so and so or something like that, it's just like Would I feel like this is as important if I was where I wanted to be? It's still valid, but would it be at the forefront of my mind if I was happy? Sort of thing. And no. Yeah, he's got a very healthy attitude to teaching entrepreneurship as well, and stuff like that, 'cause that's why people follow him. And he's like, the thing is, entrepreneurship is really cool right now, but I'm telling you, to be a successful entrepreneur, you've got to love the game.
Help, BD!
Don't just do it because you think it will make you money, because ultimately, you won't want to keep doing it, you won't be able to do a great job. Look at me at the chicken shop. Because after I started with the chicken shop, I actually heard someone saying, like, you can't see yourself doing something in 10 years, don't do it. It means you don't have the heart or the passion. Which means it won't be as good overall. You might be able to do alright in the shop. Obviously, there's exceptions where you can make a quick, but opportunists. But like Albie, for example,
Sure, it's worth the cost. I hear
the stuff he started with, Part Direct, he's an example of loving the game. Like he loves the game so much, he was willing to do that for a few years because it's a stepping stone to all these other things. But that's literally somebody who loves that game.
Dogger came at a high price.
Stormtroopers and workers. Expendable resources.
You're a monster.
I'd recommend him for even for yourself, because honestly, just, you know, for your mental health kind of stuff. Like, he's brilliant, like, and he's really likeable. And I'm very sceptical over these cunts anyway, because they're all grifting. That was something I was always sure about of Andrew Tate before I, you know,
Oh man, please.
He's grifting somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you hate the sound of his name that much?
It's just 'cause it's on the fucking news for fucking 6 months solid every day. It's like.
Alright, if you feel that way, I'll consciously not use his.
Honestly, it's just. What's happening here? It's like Marvel Comics. I'm needing a break for it because it's been in my life for too long.
Fair enough. I'll call him something else from now on.
Just don't talk about something cooler, like fucking Bruce Lee.
Well, that's the thing. He's a byproduct of talking about this topic rather than talking about him, isn't he? But,
He just thinks cooler, him or Bruce Lee.
well, the conversation we were just having was who I think is cooler, him or Gary Vaynerchuk.
Clearly Bruce Lee.
Obviously Bruce Lee, but he's dead and you can't learn, you know.
Oh, we don't know that. It's conspiracy. What's this? Or, could be alive. I don't know. Conspiracy.
I'm more trying to proclaim how good Gary Vaynerchuk is. And I'd recommend you even watch it.
Gary V. I thought it was sending him as V. I thought it was,
Yeah, I mean, because he's been doing his thing for so long, less of his new content is about mental health and positivity and stuff, but he's one of them people that's been attributed by a lot of people to have like saved their life and turned their life around and stuff and just made them feel motivated again. And
Jim should have pictures of fucking healthy, like not like guys on steroids, but like achievable pictures on the walls of having gyms. I've seen gyms where it's like Arnie and Lou Ferrigno and that, and like, what? Maybe it's gonna fucking look at this. I mean, it's
something I watch most mornings when I'm one of the things I know Pete knows about this, but I might have mentioned it to you, but the better and more consistent my morning routine is, the better I am, the more stuff I get done. If I can nail that routine, if I'm in a position where I'm nailing that routine in the morning every day, I have a wicked day. Like this whole week, I'm really happy. I'm so knackered and in a lot of pain. My back's killing me. I'm taking fucking paracetamol just to sit on my motorbike. I'm having to dig deep, work out and stuff. But I have not let myself down, which is a record-breaking week by far for the earnings. Not spent any money. I'm really happy. I'm having 2 beers.
Kill him, yes, sorry, I just murdered a guy. I'm glad, man, I'm glad you're shy about your back, like, you fucking...
Yeah. It's not the same problems though, but it's one of them, if I don't...
Irritating.
Like I've said, you know, the delivery is a great job for making loads of money if I need it, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I find it too... It's not stimulating. For me personally, it's not stimulating. It's a chore, forcing myself. I'm happy to do it. I'm going to get a really good, you know, I'm going to use it as a means to an end. But come April, I want to do 25 hours a week on it. With my other little business, that will cover my wages perfectly fine. Yeah, when I get my, it's a result of me getting my morning routines right. And one of the things I watch nearly every day when I'm doing my morning routine is Tyson Fury getting knocked down by Deontay Wilder, getting back up.
Have you seen the guy getting slapped? The slap competition, his face is totally swollen to
They're
fuck.
ridiculous.
I know, that's what Dana White's doing next.
No, I saw something like that actually. It's like, do you know what? Whatever. If there's people wanting to watch it, and there is obviously, then cool. I'm alright with watching it. And it's just Dana White will just be rubbing his hands together thinking it's funny. Like,
Surely it's going to have some sort of health complications and brain damage. Surely.
but I mean, like surface area of a slap is a lot more, the force is a lot more spread out than a punch, but
It's not
it's
as
concentrated. You're allowed to hit, you're going to get blood clots. You're going to get brain hemorrhages, and you're going to get long-term, you're not meant to get knocked out, basically.
yeah.
It's not good for you. I don't know what it does, but I'm sure.
Have you ever been hit by a ASP, the police baton? Like the wee black button? I think so, right? It's just a wee black stick with a tip. Okay.
Well, that's why I do it. It's the surface area.
Yeah, it's like a point. It's almost. It's not sharp.
We used to have in Zante. Not I say it wasn't like a standard issue at work, but it's something that I bought every summer. 15, 20 euros was the cost. What was it? A nightstick, sorry, like a extendable baton. And the ones over there are fucking military grade. Like little diamond head and stuff like that. It's just for if you're walking home and someone tries to mug you. Right that out and fuck off.
I used to collect weapons. I was a total fucking nerd. Probably like 10 years ago, I had like knuckle dusters and nunchaku. But I had a key fob, I don't know what it's called, it's Japanese, it's a weapon for your key, and it's just like a black pole. And you use it as like put it between your fingers, properly. It's just like that baton thing, on the police button, it's wee surface area, that seems dangerous, like.
Did I ever tell you about the custom made claw our friend made?
The board?
That was a claw. So what he did
Claw,
is he got, like razor blades, and he found something. He got holes in them. He drilled some holes in them, and he put like metal bars all through them. So basically, you slide on your finger like a knuckle duster, but between all your fingers, like between the knuckles, a razor blade. So 3 razor blades coming out. So it wasn't. It didn't have the effect of a knuckle duster as well. It wasn't that sturdy. It was basically, imagine a knuckle duster. It wasn't solid metal. But had 3 razor blades coming out, yeah. It looked a lot cooler and more dangerous than it actually was. With hindsight and being a bit older and more educated, I could have really fucked my hand up if I used it. But I remember one time there was I was telling Pete this the other night. He was a little bit shocked. I don't think I told him this story though. Actually, there was this one that was. He worked with my girlfriend and he was being very crude. My girlfriend was a bit naive, so she just, this guy's my friend. I'll give him my phone number, as friends do. And he just started sending her loads of lewd messages. And she was a very good girl. Told me, and I got sinister about it. When we squashed it, he caught me on. It took me about a year. I couldn't get hold of the cunt. He was running fucking. We were waiting outside his work, mob-handed, tooled up with cars, like trying to block off certain. He managed to get away. He had scouts and stuff. Honestly, one night, I went and because he lived quite close to me. This is quite embarrassing. It's 50% cool / 50% ridiculous / embarrassing. I went and covered his car in petrol, middle of the night, and put a matchbox on top of his bonnet, wrote him a poem about losing blood and I'm losing patience, so just like you're going to lose blood.
Christ.
And a certain tune that I played to him over and over again called What You Beef With. Shit, and he woke up the next morning and it's fucking... Turns out it was his mum's car as well.
Oh, man.
Yeah, which I don't, you know, like I say, I don't feel... I did like to bring the family into it. I wouldn't do that now, but he did. He was fucking disgusting. He wasn't just like trying to go out for a drink sometimes.
Yeah.
The time when we squashed it is because he had scouts in this pub that I was at on my birthday, and I was in a pissed up jolly mood. So they thought, right, just get it now, just get it squashed, bring him in. And just as I was jolly, I was willing to sit down and have a proper conversation across the table. And I remember halfway through, because I had that fucking claw in my pocket. I was 18, literally 18, just turning. I had that claw in my pocket, and I just plonked it on the table in front of us both while I was talking to him.
Get out. Thing was
And
talking
from his
about...
point of view, because I didn't know he was meant to be there.
Yeah.
From his point of view, I just carried that around. And obviously I think back and think, fucking hell, man, you were carrying that.
Could have went badly, could have been jail cell.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have got away with it, but it would have been one of them eye-opening moments where I'd have had to explain to the police that I'm just caught up in the wrong world that I'm not really part of. And, you know, it was. There was another time as well where I went to beat someone up with a friend who backstabbed me in the back. And I decided I was going to go and batter him. Everyone knew about it except him. And I knew where I was going to be around Michael's house. The idea was, as I see him, they were asking one question, and I just kicked fuck out of him. And I took it with me. The smartest thing I did that day was leave it outside.
Good luck.
You know, I think back now and think I could have just cut my own arm off, like killed someone, fucking gone down for 10 years. Like it's just, like I say, daft shit. But
the thing I was talking about is it's called a Kubotan. It's called Kubotan. Kubotan. I sent you a link of it. It's a Japanese weapon. It's actually illegal in the UK. And I didn't fucking know this. I found them, put it on my keys, and I had it for years. And it's classified as like a kind of knuckle duster, pretty much. Yeah. I think my colleague told me it was against the law. I was like, is this just a fucking black stick? No, it's a Japanese weapon.
I technically own a knuckle duster, but I put it into storage with my brother. I wouldn't be surprised if he's discarded it for me, to be honest. He's that kind of brother.
Mate brought me back one for Amsterdam. I don't know fucking how he done it. Like, it's so fucking stupid that he did.
Yeah,
You fucking idiot. Proper knuckle duster, like a case. I was like, why did you fucking do that?
No, one time I remember walking into B&Q and I spent about 100 quid on fucking, honestly, I bought like an axe, hammer, mallet, crowbar, fucking bags for them all, like long nails. I was just getting tooled up for something nasty. 18-year-old kid that clearly doesn't work in construction. Just buying all these tools.
Me and Dave, when we were about 22 or something, I had a Skeletrix set, right? Like Skeletrix, it's a fake one, it wasn't a real one. And we were playing it, got kind of bored, so we put nails, we taped nails onto the cars. And they were purposely sitting around it trying to slide them off and they hit each other with them. Fucking idiots, like. So dangerous, thinking of it, nails sticking at their legs. Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Like, they totally looked really cool, like Mad Max cars. It wasn't the smartest thing. It wasn't the smartest thing to do. Like. Oh, come on.
I was actually going to use these things. That's the shocking thing.
No.
To do that for me, I could have ended up being one of them, you know, street cunts that ended up going into crack and fucking.
Yeah.
That's what he thought. I mean, I didn't say it in those words, but he was just like, you know, if I hadn't stepped in when I did, you might have been. And at the time, I used to like to think that I would be more sensible than that, and so I was a bit like, oh, cheers, Dad. You think I would just, you know, resort to. But looking back and knowing how seeing these street dwellers now, how bitter and twisted their minds was, just like, well, was I somewhere in that path at that point potentially? But yet I was just fortunate to have my dad. It's scary shit, honestly.
I've got a couple of Polish pals, proper classic shady Polish guys, and occasionally they'll ask if I could use my lockup for something. I'm like, no. You can't leave something in my lockup till Monday. I'm fine. He's like, I give you money. I don't care about that. I don't want to know what you've got. I don't care. Just no. No fucking yes or no in that situation. Like, but no one goes.
Sometimes isn't quite enough, is it?
Yeah, I made it. Right.
I watched. There's another episode of that podcast, the Menace of Sobriety one that I was telling you about, and this guy that he's got on as a guest this time as well. He's called the cocaine hypnotist, and that's literally what he does. He hypnotises people out of cocaine addiction. It's not foolproof, but there's a science behind how it works. He says the thing with cocaine is your cravings override your conscious thought of how bad you're going to feel afterwards. And he basically tries to, you have triggers and brain association. He tries to make those triggers also trigger the realization of how bad you're going to feel. Like, it's a neuroscience technique that seems to work. But yeah, he said he had one patient that he was just like a habitual user, not loads, not ridiculous amounts, but it really went bad for him when a friend of his, friend of me, said to him, "Can you look after this parcel when you get 3 grams a day?" And he was just like, he was saying how out of order that was. Just like, you can't do that to a fucking.
I've got these skill points I can't spend. I don't understand what's going on. Do not understand what's going on.
No, that's a really good podcast, honestly. Seeing people, and just reading that app as well, honestly, seeing people struggling. And they couldn't. Some of them can't go more than 2 days.
I noticed something while examining this.
Oh, well.
I noticed
And all the
something
triggers
while
are just so
examining
familiar,
the sarcophagus.
Your
It's
brain
a very
just sort of.
convenient location to dispose
Your brain kind of
of
goes all out
diseases.
to
You lured me
to
here.
show you a
Is this your
presentation
plan all
as to
along?
why this time it's
You
okay.
truly have the wits of a
It's only the next
Exactly.
day when you're like, oh no, actually I needed that money for this and this, and
You came what I justified my partying with my 20s was that I had a girlfriend who was about 15 to about 20, and it was always like, it was pretty like tame, like we never went out and partied and that, we just sort of was like a couple of, I never really partied, everyone went to pubs and stuff. And then when we split up, and I turned at 21, I just partied all the time, and I was like, it's just my time to fucking catch up with.
Now, BD.
And that's what in my head I thought it was alright to do coke every night and drink a bottle of rum every night, because I just thought it was normal. It was my right to party type thing, because I didn't party when I was younger.
it's the dealers it leaves scars on people, as you know, as well. There's a lad I know who was in our class at school, and he was a bit weird, but he was alright. Not a nasty guy whatsoever, just a weird musician family, Joe. And he ended up going out with our mate Sophie while selling coke. Long story short, what came out was that he was hitting her and stuff. And it transpired that I think she didn't give as good as she got, but she didn't never hit him, But it was one of them family people that said that they were living with him at the time, and any customers that were going out at the time, he was literally like upstairs in his room all day. If you wanted something, you got to text him from downstairs, and he just like slid under the door. It's like he's just sitting there pranging. There's no reason for him to be scared, but And then he came round. There was a period where after that, as Damien said, he had him around his flat once, and he was fine with Damien on his own. And he was telling him about his surface level struggles, telling him about telling him about his struggles, but not really going into much detail. And Matt came home just from work like normal, and then just Joe started getting really anxious all of a sudden. His legs started jittering, and then eventually, after about 5 minutes, he just got up and I've got to go, I've got to go and take a tablet. Fuck, dude.
This guy's killing me. Die, fucking bastard. shit. What's this?
No, I wish I had that podcast around when I was struggling with it.
Chicken has got a really good podcast. Actually, I think it's fantastic. It's Steve-O, the jackass. I listen
Oh
to it
yeah,
all the time.
because he's sober now as well, isn't he? Apparently he was just unmanageable. You couldn't be around him when he was on coke.
You had Bam Margera on last week, though.
Just so.
Oh fuck yeah! What's up for the latest on him? Because he's had
There will
loads
be
of relapses
times
and
when
problems, hasn't
emotion, pain, or
He
exhaustion
said he's been
trick
sober now. I think he has been
Feel
truthful
cut
when you hear him speaking that.
isolate.
He's been sober for about 3 months.
This is our
Which
he? I
is
mean, I feel
like
sorry for him.
quite
But he was a bit of a
that.
The
dick.
lightsaber lies there.
But he says
out
like
of reach.
what's the
You
problem
remain
is when
connected
he
through
goes
the
outside,
Force.
somebody
That
skateboarder will see him and offer to buy him a drink, and that's how it crushes him. It happens all the time. He says you can't go to the airport without somebody offering him a drink. Which is
Yeah, Dapper laughs. Well, this is the guy of that podcast, Dan O'Reilly, but
it's
Dapper
like
laughs.
In you,
That's the
around
problem.
you.
it's like if you were walking down the street and there's a guy offering you fucking lines every
ignore all
2 meters.
distraction.
That's what it's like to him. It's totally different.
Well, kind of his persona as well with Dapper laughs was the sesh head. That's kind of his what he was known for. So if people see him in a
Force is
pub,
with
it's
me.
just like, "Oh, Dapper, you
He
in a
lets
shop,
us.
bruv." And then he goes and chats to them within 5 minutes. Because it's a
so-
story for people, isn't it? They don't actually care of the outcome of that person. They're quite happy to go, "Oh, I was fucking out with Dapper last night and he did this and that," and they'll encourage it, so it's a story for them. Whereas it's really bad for his life. People are always trying to get pictures of him. He said there was one time, I don't know how he got to this state, but it was like, one of them jobbies where it was like 10, 11 in the morning and he's got to get home. And basically he's come out praying off his nut in Essex in the middle of the Saturday in the town centre. He's just thinking, I've got to fucking get out of here quickly before someone sees me off my nut and starts taking pictures. And he said that he got to his car and some cunts had discovered where he parks his car based on his Snapchat and egged it and flowered it. But he had to drive. He had to drive, so he's driving about 15 minutes through Essex trying to get home with his car just with white powder and just flushing off
Not
of it.
part of
And
your plan.
he's just, and he was off his nut.
I always allow.
And then he goes on to say, like, that was just, fucking I was thinking about, and just, what if I'd hit someone? Fucking, that's my life over, like, But you must get that, I suppose, as a celebrity. People just trying to get you off guard and off your nut. And
Happened to, do you know what, Justin Long, the actor?
no.
Justin Long, you see him, you would know him. He was in like Die Hard 4, that's what he was, and he was in like, maybe Transformers. If you see him, you would go, oh, him. Yeah, I know him. Like, he was at a party, this was when he was quite famous, and somebody gave him a joint, but it was laced with PCP. And then the guy's friends took Justin Long in a car and filmed him, and then sold it to TMZ. He kept it
Yeah,
quiet
because
for
to them
years.
it's just,
So he's fucking horrible,
to them it's fucking 50 grand for a funny video, but to him it's...
Yeah, it's properly.
Like some agents and management teams hire people to stop that, well, not that specifically, but like Jim Jeffries talks about, like in England, the last thing my manager says to me before I go on stage is, "Do you want another drink?" But in America, my management team hire somebody to stand by the bar and make sure I don't get too fucked. And I can imagine it. That'd be my fear and all.
He takes his phone call, man. But, Oh. Oh, so you dying there. So do you fancy going to Old Trafford?
Yeah, I really am, because it's
Although-
one of them bucket list things, but there's so many bucket list things that are now not even possible. Like
Yeah, I
seeing the
know,
Undertaker.
but obviously when you can.
No, but I mean, I'm also always terrible for not doing things that I'll, in theory, want to do. Like that, I'll never see Chester Bennington perform now. I'll never see the Undertaker. I'll never see Messi or Ronaldo, probably.
No, but I mean, the heck of going forever. Surely you name everything you can't do. It's the things that you can do. Is
No,
what
but
you
they're
should
things that
focus
I
on.
want to do, and I just want to be a bit more decisive with doing stuff. Is what
Shit. Died.
I'm saying. I'm genuinely up for going to America for the next World Cup if you want to come.
If you plan it, I'm terrible at planning.
Yeah, no
Well,
problem. I'll do that. Damien's, have you done any travelling yourself? Damien's done a lot.
Not travelling. I've been to countries. I've not travelled, like purposely travelling. Just like,
Can you drive?
I can't drive. Man.
Okay, he can.
Been to the US and Amsterdam, Spain. I've not done like backpacking. That's what you mean.
Yeah, we have. It's fun. It's like an adventure.
I bet,
I've
man.
turned up at fucking 3 AM in Malia in Crete without anywhere to stay before. At 19.
Did you know I slept outside at Buckingham Palace?
You stepped outside.
Not at the front of it, like in the sort of, what's the street called? To the big red street? You know, the famous one they'll walk down. Is it Mayfair? No, Mayfair.
I know the one you mean, but I don't know. But that's Green Park, so maybe it's.
It's the mall. It's called the mall. I
Paramount.
slept. I think it's called the mall. The street. It's where they do the parades and that. I slept outside. Me and my mate slept outside because we couldn't get a bus till the next day. So I mean, I'm talking like the mega bus, the fucking 30-hour one. So we slept outside at Buckingham Palace.
Shit like that happens sometimes.
It was fucking ace, right? And somebody
It
came
just
up to
adds
us,
to it, yeah.
like English copper came up to us and he just said, "What are you doing?" And we explained to him that we were from Scotland and we were needing to get on the bus because we didn't get the train. And he just went, "Alright, that's okay." What? I thought we were getting fucking lifted.
It's a much more interesting way to travel because you're just forced to do stuff like. When I was my business partner, when I was young, like we were both all about the travelling, but because he's so lazy, he was just like, I'd much rather just get rich and then do it like in luxury. But you miss things. You don't learn things when you're young as well.
I need to find a photo. I've got a photo of us there, like I've got a photo of me at the front gates, and we are fuck it, my brain is going. What's the guys with the big stupid hats called? The guards. Beefeater. Yeah, I've got a photo of them next to one of them. Like.
Yeah, sorry, you got the Queen's Guards and Beefeaters are slightly different, but they're both in red suits.
Yeah, Beefeater. Yeah, the guy with the funny hat.
I remember one time in Zante, it was my second year, and I decided there's another way to get there if you want to go there before the flights that go directly to Zante. You can go to Greece mainland in Athens, and you get the coach to Patra, like 4 hours. You get the ferry to Zakynthos. On the ferry, me and this other geezer that I bumped into that I know, we got off and mingled around the ferry as you do, but when it disembarked, we missed the coach and we had to just chase it through Zante town, just with our best sort of navigation in the middle of the night, just trying to follow it until it got out of sight and then thinking, right, where logically might it be? And we just arrived at this massive like open car park and there was just
knew he would run.
suitcases just in the middle of the car park.
I'm sure we'll beat you.
I wonder how much longer it would have been before they got nicked. But Ukraine was the most interesting one. I must have told you about the fucking brothel in Ukraine.
Yeah, someone else take a hit.
CD.
Did I not tell you that story? This is a beauty. So, Ukraine in general was pretty mental because no one spoke the language. It was fucking Soviet, you know.
Yeah.
And I was travelling across the country on these trains that are like from James Bond films, like 14 hours in a cabin, sleeping overnight. But I hadn't slept by this day. We went to Odessa, so I meant to get a visa. And I hadn't slept. Literally about 72 hours. I was just falling asleep standing up. I was literally being sort of dragged around the city. This other dude that he bumped into, Andre, I think his name was, no English. So I'm just sort of tagging along, just doing their thing. It turns out he's trying to find a brothel. And fast forward a little bit, we start getting some lunch, and we go to this industrial estate. And I'm not joking, you walk into this industrial estate, and the city's just getting a bit smaller and smaller. And we go into this one particular garage, go to the back. I'm not even joking, like you move like a fucking, I can't remember what the furniture was, but there's a bit of furniture. There's a corridor, you go through there, there's this complex, these big gates of some sort of like complex with like a shutter, you know, like the eye hole to speak to people. And they bang on the gates, and there's some words exchanged. They let us in, and there's just like fucking 2-3 guys there with Kalashnikovs. Yeah. Just standing there. And I went into this bar that was in there, and it's one of them, you know, like in a film where just like the music stops and everyone turns around to the stranger at the same time.
Real West type thing.
I was 21.
That's a pub in Glasgow we're talking about. It's within Glasgow.
Like that. Yeah. I was 21 and backpacker from Britain, and I just stumbled into this bar, and honestly there was just like about sort of 8 or 10 massive Russian dudes in like tuxedos and fucking suits and Rolexes and stuff, just all playing backgammon and billiards and stuff. And I just thought, it's going to go one of two ways. They're going to be pleased I'm here spending money, or they're going to think, sweet, British kid passport. I was just like, who wants a drink? I'll get everyone a drink. Because a pint over there is about 30p at the time.
I've got this. Am I even close to hitting him?
But yeah, that's not even fucked up bit.
Get the enemy.
What was it like Ukraine before the war? Was it quite a
Let me finish
developed
the story.
place? Was it quite a developed
You coward.
country?
Let me finish this story, because then I'll come back to that.
Smash him.
Yeah, so he finally got a brothel,
Come on, hit him.
and I said to Alex, his name was, who I was over there, it was for a flare competition. He was my fandom partner that I met in England. And I just didn't want to go in, I just don't do brothels as a principle. Especially on fucking CD. So I'm sitting in this, like, I'm sitting outside one of the rooms.
Sure, it was done by choice as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a clean fucking. Alex even said afterwards, just like after we shagged the prostitute, she was telling them about, you know, she wants to get out, and she's taking me with her. And so I'm sitting outside, just waiting for the finish. After about 15 minutes, I hear like screaming from one of the rooms. And one of the hookers comes running out, followed by a security guard who's about 6'10",
I'm after him.
dragging this guy by like his neck with his tail right across the floor. And he's fucking screaming at him, hitting him, kicking him, and then he had a Magnum, literally pulled out a Magnum, Dirty Harry, like the one with a long barrel gun. He put it at his head, pulled the cock back. I'm thinking, fuck, I was behind this sort of, you know, them like mesh nets that are like little bit leafy, but they're not proper coverage. Sitting there behind that. Because if he kills him, it might just be easier to kill me rather than explain this. Fortunately, he just stopped screaming at him, smashed him over the head a few times with his gun, chucked him in the back of a van and drove off.
Good hell.
It's about another 10 minutes, Alex comes out, I'm like, fuck, we're going now. He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'll tell you on the train. But yeah, it's fucked up, man. Like, it's not... Yeah, it's a developed country, but it's one of the biggest parallels, or sharp parallels, you know, steepest correlations, as it were, or biggest differences on the spectrum from poverty and wealth. And Kiev Square, there's like massive mansions that are worth like 50 million. They film a few of the Bond films there and stuff because of how scenic and picturesque it is. But like next to it, in the foreground, there'll be people selling you fucking their shoes out of a car and using an oil drum that's on fire for heat, and that's their children there, and you know, it's a massive divide. It's pretty lawless. Well, you know, it's one of the more sort of, you felt like you could buy anything, you know, anyone or anything. We got on the train, the 14-hour train. It's a massive country, and we did sort of the triangle. I landed at Kiev, went to Yalta for the competition, then to Odessa, and then back to Kiev. So it's like a triangle, 14 hours each bit.
Get him.
And the first couple of journeys, we were in this cabin, slept on a bunk bed,
Got this.
like you see literally in Jaws, the
I
Bond
think we're too
film.
much for him.
One of them sort of jobbies in Eastern Europe. And the last one,
Let's give him a
we got on and we were in economy, apparently. I'm sitting there, I'm not even joking. There's a goat next to me. Chickens just running around the cabin. This is 14 hours, really? And he just went, yeah, sorry mate, we didn't have enough money for this last, you know, for this one to be first class. I didn't realise there was a difference. This is like the cabin. He's like, yeah, so I had to get this one economy, and I was like, how much is it? I'll pay for all of us. I literally did that. I was like, I'll pay for three. There's only three of us. I'll pay for all three of us. Yeah, fuck yeah. And he was like, all right. And we go and ask one of the guards if they want to sell us their sleeping quarters, like their staff quarters, and they come back to me. That's a lot of wages for someone.
Yeah.
We won. Well, we came fourth. We won 1,500. Basically, it worked out to be five. Yeah, basically, it's $1,500 billion or pounds. So I got 500 billion. So I basically got a free trip to Ukraine and back.
Trust for me. Shoot the intruder.
He got 2 months off work. The difference is remarkable.
Steal the intruder.
Yeah, lovely place. Very influenced by all different cultures. Like they're trying to catch up desperately. And there's a lot more. They deserve a lot more credit, and that's why it is really sad what's happening. I actually feel gutted more than the average person just because I've seen them. The drinking culture's weird. Like they'll regularly ask for a Coke, no gas, as a mixer. So Jack and Coke, no gas.
Fuck.
So you've got to flatten the Coke.
So you get a spoon to stir it.
Well, you put it in the blender.
Right.
Blitz it. Couple of bubbles.
We used to use a spoon at shandies and stuff.
No, we just don't. It's not a thing where people ask for no gas in England, so.
Fire Coke's maybe good if you've got a cold. I was a wives' tale. I heard that.
It's got something in it that's a digestive.
Jacamo, it's actually good for. I found out 2 weeks ago speaking to my mum. It is pretty good for taking off rust off your bike. My bike was covered in rust. And I used. My mum said use Coke, and I was like, yeah, sure. And I tried it. It took it off. I'm like, and that's in your fucking body.
Yeah, we used to clean our tips with, like, when you clean bars, like every month, a couple of months, we take off certain deep cleaning elements and find a few quid. Manky as hell, stick them in a Coke
It was
syrup.
an offering to the sacred.
Take the nozzle off the gun, pour
At
it
the
into
time,
the
it was
glass.
considered precious.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, people like Cristiano Ronaldo don't touch Coke.
He moved the bottle, and remember that.
Well, he did when he was young, and he apparently won. There's a story of Carrington where he walked in one day drinking a Coca-Cola and Ryan Giggs like smacked it out of his hand.
Yeah, it's totally just right, like. It's good if you want to clean your bike, like clean a penny. Garbage, yeah, it's killing people.
Well, it is shite. I mean, you can go too far with the health food thing. There's a
Yeah,
lots of
you need to treat yourself,
health
yeah.
food junkies, man. It's like,
Tastes great, like if I get like a Chinese, I'll have a Coca-Cola or Iron Brew. Oh, it's good, like soda pop.
you can eat properly and be completely healthy your whole life, like to the umpteenth degree, and you still get a tumour.
Die of heart attack.
Yeah, so it's almost like eat the good food while you can, you know, eat the fucking... I love Ricky Gervais' attitude towards life. It's just like, we're all going to die one day and there's no sequel, so have a laugh while you're here. His response to someone saying, I'm offended. is you found it offensive. I found it funny. That's what I'm happy with. Simple and effective. He has what you know. Do you know how much of an animal rights activist?
I knew it would end like this.
I've seen him on the hot ones, vegan,
Yeah, he's
cauliflower.
on Twitter and all his other socials. He's always sharing charities, but also horrific stories to raise awareness and stuff like that. And he's well known for a simple quote of just simply, "If you enjoy seeing an animal in pain or terrified, you're a cunt." When he talks about fox hunting, he's like, the only way to be vermin controlled is if the tough cunts fell off their horses and got trampled to death.